20 minutes past 8. Welcome back to Sunrise. The Chigozie Ubani joins us to also continue our focus on this security matter we've got in the front burner today. Thank you for coming on, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Well, yes, we've heard Issa Yugoda give us an account of what exactly transpired. Yes, so many perspectives. Yeah, that he also, I beg your pardon, Issa Gusau. Where did that come from? But there's some fundamental questions about this now. Because in time past, we have listened to the government tell us, okay, well, they've got certain names in terms of those who are funding these activities. Because when you go through the media, you look at the way they recruit people. When they take that moment to go back and regroup, funding is key here.
Yes.
How do we go about this?
Thank you. Over a long period of time, we have discussed issues bordering on security or insecurity in Nigeria and beyond. And one would have expected that certain visible measures would have been taken. There is no doubting the fact that government have been on its toes. They have been under tremendous pressure. And I have refused to, say they are not doing anything. But there are certain things I expect this government to do, or I expect them to have done. And that is the issue of funding. We take examples from the civilized world where terrorism have been successfully reduced. Take, for instance, in the United States when, the case of 9/11. Yes, it took some time, but there was focus on finding the source of funding. The central person, Osama bin Laden, was valued well over $300 million. They went for those funds and crippled him. Without taking too much details, we saw that this man, at a point, was narrowed down to a small locality where he couldn't operate from the way he did, brazenly previously. So the idea is trace the funds. But when you come to the case with Nigeria, I am also very sure that our people are tracing these funds. But why is it so difficult? And that's where the contributions made or being made by the political elite come to play. It is common knowledge that Nigerians are accusing governors and political class of funding. That word, funding, may not really be, hey, take this money, continue with insurgency. It could also be, take this money, leave my own interests. And that becomes a source of funding.
You mean
people
don't
buying,
attack this
people buying their own bullet vests in trying to protect themselves, in trying to be seen, not to be against them, because these things are happening within their own locality.
I don't quite get that.
Beautiful. Part. A businessman, for instance, who is doing business in Borno State, well connected, would not want his business to be disrupted. So from time to time, you try to buy favor from people you know that the moment you fall out of favor with them, that you'll be crippled. These things happened in the days of kidnapping in Southeast, where influential people were unknowingly funding kidnapping in the Southeast. They did not design to say, hey, let us keep this industry running. They did not design, hey, let us keep people perpetually under fear by kidnap. But in trying to buy safety for themselves, they fund criminality. And I can tell you that if we look in, we'll find a lot of influential businessmen and politicians doing this to be safe.
And you say one of them
there
is
are
buying vests?
I said buying safety vests. That's what I mean. When you buy favor from criminals, what I am referring to is that you're buying your own bulletproof. There are big institutions and businesses in the north. If we begin to mention them, it will look as if we are accusing anybody. But these institutions are running. No one is attacking them. Their owners should be looked on and see what relationship they have with these criminals. There is something that is flying in the media, especially on the internet. If you look at the motion picture posted by one popular online journal, you will see a video of Boko Haram driving around with Hilux trucks and other utility vehicles. And then you ask, every car, every automobile has what is called the VIN number, vehicle identification number, what we call chassis number here in the country. This is traceable to even the manufacturer. Nigeria, with her influence in Africa, can return to Japan and say, hey, Toyota, tell us where this vehicle is, which dealership, which sub-dealership, and who eventually sold to who.
Assuming they would have caught one of those vehicles, either mutilated or something.
Of course we have, yes. The chassis number is one thing that you don't erase, no matter what you do. It's there. There is always the vehicle identification number.
So they could tell us who
so
did they supply to. So you can trace
this down, because this has gotten to a point where we can no longer play with it. So take it as serious as it is. We can threaten any of the automobile manufacturers. If you don't cooperate on information, you stop doing business in Nigeria. This is their biggest market.
I mean, it's possible they would have been supplied from Nigeria.
From one chain of dealership, even if it is from the Middle East. From one chain of dealership, it is coming down to the last end user. How do they get these vehicles, and why is it a Herculean task for us to trace them to the man who purchased and donated?
Did they move from the borders? So many questions.
Is somebody trying to convince me or us that these people are funded from monthly membership dues of the organization? That is what they use to buy surface-to-air missiles, utility vans, and the motivation. I'll tell you, when we're looking at motivation, like it is in the media today, in the papers, $3,000 to motivate recruits. And I asked, $3,000, about 480,000 naira. One Toyota Land Cruiser in the dealership, it's about 24 million. Okay? Not the bullet-proof and customized vehicles used by our governors and leaders. I'm talking about the ordinary. So if you look at 24 million divided by 408,000, which is an equivalent of $3,000, we will be recruiting about 50. We'll be countering Boko Haram with about 50 recruits on the government side. So, when I look at our wealth as a nation, the resources we have, and we are not deploying them to counter these things, I say, hey, those in authority are not thinking in the right direction. Because if it has gotten to a point where one recruit is given $3,000, then we can match it, gather enough information, which I am sure is being gathered. But we can match it in a manner that it will be unattractive for these people to go and kill themselves just for $3,000.